Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Melanie, your She Shed Scrappers, and today I am back with a one-page layout using the Safe Travels collection from Simple Stories. This was a fun one to put together, one because it's from our first ever stop at a Buc-ee's, and then two because I use a lot of scrap pieces of paper to kind of piece this one together. I am going to end up using 4 different pattern papers, which could seem a little scary, but the patterns that I choose are fairly small patterns. Nothing's really too busy, and everything's primarily just one color each. And so I feel like it really works together nicely. So I thought maybe I could bring in one of these frames, but my photos are a little bit too small. The two on the outside are actually 3x4. I meant to cut the middle one 3x4 as well. And then I got cutting and it is smaller than 3x4 by a little bit, which is fine. I didn't need all that excess of the sign or whatnot. So it worked out nicely for what I kind of had in mind. I do have the sketch that I kind of planned out. I think I planned this one out last month. And so it's just been sitting there, and I just finally decided, you know what? I am going to use something other than Pooh or My Life's 365 and give you guys some other kind of content and collections. So you can see I'm kind of piecing these together. The inner square, I believe, is 9.5 by 9.5. I then was able to cut that yellow paper in half. There was the chevron yellow that I really wanted to use, but the 2 scraps I have, the pattern was opposite directions. So I ended up using the arrow yellow, which works out just fine. And then I used scrap piece of that blue striped paper to add to the top and the bottom. Again, using and cutting up into strips makes it still look like that paper goes all the way across the page or all the way down the page, which is just a really good way to use up those scraps. Even this middle paper was a scrap piece. Obviously, there was quite a bit still left over for me to be able to cut it 9.5 by 9.5, but it was not a full 12 by 12 piece of paper. So I don't know. I really enjoyed kind of digging in, using up those smaller pieces, and using a collection that I've had in my stash for a while now and just haven't gotten around to really using much. I am going to trim down the blue a little bit. I didn't want it as long on that polka dotted paper, and so by trimming it, it just kind of makes it look like, it doesn't make it look like anything. It's just a smaller strip, and that's just kind of how I envisioned it in my mind. So I'm going to put those at the top and bottom. I am going to matte my photos white first, and then the middle Buc-ee's paper or photo, I am going to double matte with a yellow background as well. I won't make you guys watch that by any means because it just kind of gets monotonous, but I am going to back those. But I guess I got the idea for the 4th pattern paper before I matted the middle photo again. So I wanted my photos to be kind of anchored by something, and so I chose this kind of rust color to dovetail each end and kind of have go across the page, but at least anchor my photos a little bit. This will actually serve as a journaling spot as well for the layout. So I can journal about our first trip to Buc-ee's. So I kind of had that in mind too when I cut the width of it. I am going to end up using my journaling strips from Close to My Heart to add to it. And yeah, so I think, I don't know, the journaling is almost as important maybe as the photos. And so the journaling is gonna end up being kind of a focal point as well. I forgot, before I matted the middle photo again, I actually put some foam tape. So usually what I will do is I put the foam tape on the last mat, if that makes sense. This time though, I decided to add it before I put it on the yellow paper. And again, using that same yellow as the outside edges, making sure the pattern is the same way. Not a big deal if it's not, but I kind of liked how that brought that yellow kind of in as well. And in the photos, the circle with the beaver in it is yellow, and then the beaver nuggets kind of have yellow, and so I just felt like that was a good complementing color, and I wanted to include that again. So I think here is where I am searching for my journaling strips. I knew they were inside, but you know, when things are not in their normal spots, I really was struggling to find them in the chaos of my inside workspace. So I'm just going to place 3 of them underneath my photos, just to make sure that I have enough room for journaling. I probably should journal out ahead of time so I kind of know the length of my journaling, but it's a bad habit I have, and then, you know, I'm sometimes struggling to fill in all of the space. Other times I have too much to say, which is probably better because then I can just continue adding them. But yeah, I probably should get better at journaling beforehand to know how much room I need. So for this collection, I have quite a bit. I have 2 of the chipboard, I have some ephemera, I have the sticker sheet, lots of pieces to choose from. I didn't really have an idea of how to, or how I was going to embellish before I started the layout, but by adding the journaling strips down below, it just kind of gave me a natural spot to journal on either edge of the journaling. So really just picking out pieces from the chipboard here that I liked. I liked the car because obviously it's a road trip. The compass just fit kind of underneath of the car, some binoculars and some keys. And I just really liked how they layered on top of each other. Again, I have 2 of the chipboard. So if I didn't have 2 of them, I probably wouldn't have used as many chipboard pieces as I did. But I've got enough. And then I decided to use the word explore as my title. I really like how big it was, how it filled in that space at the top, and then I will go back and kind of add some finishing touches kind of to each of the clusters and then to the title as well. So because I used chipboard for both embellishment kind of main pieces, I did have to pop at least one of them up on foam tape just so I had enough room underneath to kind of layer them. So I had to kind of be strategic too with the placements of the foam tape. So yeah, that gave the layout some pretty good dimension. Looked at the foam stickers, didn't see anything that I loved that I needed to include, but then I decided when looking at the sticker sheet to kind of include some floral clusters in each of the embellishment clusters. There was a fanny pack that I thought was super cute, and I thought about adding it, but just didn't like the way it looked with the rest of the pieces down already. So I am going to find a floral cluster on the sticker sheet for each of the embellishment clusters while adding some to the title as well. So I love how I have kind of a bigger one at the top of the title and then just a smaller one at the bottom end of the title there. I did kind of want a few more, I guess, and the sticker sheet had like single flowers, which I didn't love, and so I went to the puffy stickers and found a couple. I guess the stickers didn't even have the leaves on them, so the puffy stickers have just a single flower with the leaves, which I really liked, and so I tried to add one of those to each of the clusters as well, just to kind of finish off the layout. I did go into the Simple Pages embellishment pack looking, I don't know for what, because there's not much more that I would want to add to the layout, but I did find a phrase that I kind of liked at the bottom of the journaling there. So I am going to end up adding that. Went to the brads just as a finishing touch. I added 2 of the brads to, or one brad to each of the middle large flowers, if that makes sense. Just again, adding a little bit of dimension. Not necessarily by any means, but again, it just adds a little dimension, which I liked. So I will look for this collection. It is quite old. I think I got most of it from Tuesday morning, but I will look and see if I can link it down below for you guys. But I hope you enjoyed this layout, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.